It's a great privilege to be here today. I think, like many of you, I got caught in traffic today, so it was a bit hectic. But as Sean said, hopefully that's a sign that the economy in Ireland's really turning around. And I'm going to talk a couple of aspects of manufacturing that are very important for me and have probably been the magic that I have, or that has worked for me in my 30 years working, that delivers, as Sean said there, breakthrough costs while improving morale, and importantly, developing sustainable results. So first, just a little bit about Procter & Gamble. I'm sure everybody's heard of them. We're broken into four sectors. I manage the bottom left-hand corner, right-hand corner as you're looking, health and grooming. It's about $18 billion or $15 billion in sales, and as Sean said, we've got 26 of our own sites around the globe, and then many other operations as part of what we call mega business unit operations around the globe. The footprint for the operation that I manage, you can see we're spread pretty much all over the globe. A couple of key messages, and then I'll talk small bit about my career, would be you can see that we do have a lot of operations in what we call high-cost countries. So we've got a number of operations, one here in Ireland, or we've got three here in Ireland, a couple in the UK, a lot in Germany, and you can see that we've got heavy operations also in the US. But we also have operations all over the globe. So our operating strategy is to have regional capacity, regional supply, make sure that we're self-sufficient. A couple of key messages here. One, I'd say, is that we can be competitive in high-cost countries. So that's a push that we have, and we're relentless in what we're trying to do there as far as making all of our operations very, very efficient. But we treat all sites the same. So the challenge that I'd give to our operations here in Ireland or in anywhere in Europe or the US is that the capability that we're building in China, in Vietnam, in Latin America is very much the same as we're building in these operations as well. So our goal is to have capable people running very capable operations all over the globe. Small bit about my career. You can see that I started here in Ireland. I'm from Newbridge, and I started in the Oral-B site in Newbridge in 1986. And I went on a 6-month assignment to the States and ended up coming back 11 years later. But I've worked in the US, I've worked in Germany, I've worked in China, and as Sean said, most of my roles have been in manufacturing. That's where my passion and my heart is. But I've done a number of roles in engineering, and my role today is a blended role. So very much responsible for making sure that our operations are running better today than they were yesterday, and I'm setting the operations up for the next 5-10 years. But I'm also partnering with engineering to make sure that the equipment that we're delivering tomorrow meets the needs of tomorrow. So very much thinking about automation, very much thinking about the digital age and Industry 4.0 to make sure that what we're designing is right for manufacturing, that initiatives make us better, don't take us 6 months or a year, or in our history 4 or 5 years to catch back up. As a company, Procter & Gamble manufacturing has been key the last number of years. I think we're all very well aware of the global recession, and for us in Procter & Gamble, the pressure to reduce costs and allow the company to invest and to help us with competition has been huge. Our results in manufacturing, you can see we've delivered over $5 billion in savings in the last number of years. And as a company, we've been delivering 6% productivity year on year for the last 4 years. Within the sector that I'm working in, our productivity gain in the last few years has been 30%. When I look at some of the key results in our sites, you'll see that pretty much all of our results are going the right way. Our safety is at an all-time low. Our productivity numbers I just mentioned, 30% in the last 4 years has been the best we've ever done as a company. And this is the 30% productivity is pretty much at a time where we've had flat growth. So we've really done a great job on trying to drive out our cost, automate, work on standard work on how we're organized. And then on the bottom left there, improve the efficiency of our equipment. So within the sector that I'm running, OE2, or process reliability as we call it, for Braun we're somewhere around 87% every day, every month. And for Gillette, we're at about 84% today, every day, every month. So really getting the most out of our equipment. equipment running 7 days a week, really working on stops, unplanned downtime and that. So what's the secret behind, I would say, the results that we have? Procter & Gamble's developed its own production system. I'll give a small bit of an evolution of it so you can see the elements of it. But for me, the secret is in the 0 and 100. So relentlessly going after zero losses every day and every month, and doing that through the 100% of our employees. And when I say 100%, it really is that way. Everybody's an equipment owner or a system owner within our sites. And our goal, my goal, and the goal of the site leaders or the other leaders within our organization is to make sure that every day we're building that right capability and enabling and empowering our people to make the decisions, to make the improvements, and to set us up for today will be the best day that we've ever ran. It's been an evolution, so Procter & Gamble started working on this production system back in the 60s, and it's been tweaked over the years. About 4 years ago, we took a look at it again. I think it got way too complex and tried to simplify it. Did a lot of work with Toyota, trying to understand the Toyota production system and what were the benefits that they had versus what we had and vice versa, and did a really good benchmarking sharing practice. To a place that we have about 10 pillars that we work on, that works on, again, standard work, making sure everybody's knows what they're doing and has got the capability to do what they need to do every day, making sure we're getting the most out of our assets, and then most recently getting outside the four walls of the site. So the world is changing when you think about e-commerce, when you think about how consumers are spending and what that means for our customers, and we want to make sure that our sites and our supply chains are set up to meet those demands of the future. We're not there yet. I think most companies are trying to learn what that's going to mean and what the next 5-10 years is going to be like in the future. But that's something, as we think about our design, we think about our equipment, we think about our supply chains, agility, the ability to be able to produce minimal order quantities becomes huge for us. Two aspects of that I would probably say. I had the privilege or a luckiness to be in Chicago when Ireland beat New Zealand back in October. And when I think about the Irish team, I think of a great leader, or many great leaders were on the team, and then great teamwork. And that's how we set our stall in the sites. When I think of the secret of the success that I've had in my career, I think of getting great leaders to run our sites, making sure that the leaders are engaged every day with what people need. And then, as I said before, making sure that everybody's working for a common goal, working every day to make today a better day, the best day that we ever had, and for sure better than yesterday. A key message that we give to our site leaders is you don't manage the site, you work for your site. So when you see an org chart with the plant manager at the bottom working for his leadership team, the leadership team working for line leaders, working for where we add value, that's very purposeful and very, very important. We want to make sure that people know we're here to serve you, you're not here to serve us. And when we get the right leaders in our sites, magic happens. When we go to sites, and I go to a site and I see ourselves struggling, it's typically due to leadership. It's typically due to us not being engaged on what we need every day. And that's why we try and set our stall out, that the goal of a leader in the site is develop themselves, so they're working on what's important in the future and they're developing others. We're very prescriptive on it, to the point that you can see at the bottom right here a calendar where we prescribe what we want people to do every day. So we set our stall around our daily meetings in our site, but we make sure that every leader knows that their expectation that I have, that the site leader has, that they spend this time on the shop floor every day working with their people. So that coaching time is very, very clear. And again, we've got our own daily management system where we've set that prescribed menu where people can go in and coach the people, deliver what we need to do every day. Again, this daily direction setting that people understand what they need to do. We start off and we think about capability within our organization with very, very simple problem-solving tools. And as we progress through, we call our phases of capability in our operations, that capability gets stronger and stronger, and we work with our teams every day. Our lessons learned as we think about leadership and the case to change. It's very difficult if you're going to go into an operation and try and make a change. I've spent time in my career as managing sites. I now go and I've got 26 sites globally, but I've also spent time as a lean consulting. I think one of the challenges if you go into a new operation, if you don't have leadership behind you, if leadership is not on board, you're not going to make sustainable change. You may make a case, you may make an improvement, but it won't be sustainable. You need to create the compelling business need. I've had success in this in the past when the compelling business need is if we don't turn around the business or if we don't make the site competitive, we're going to move the operation to Mexico or we're going to move the operation to China. And it's very easy to get a team behind you when you've got a reason that's compelling. But when you don't have that one, I think it's still important to create this need. Why is a site in Ireland important to any business? Why is a site important in the US to any business? What can we uniquely deliver in Ireland or in the US or in Germany that no other site can deliver? And get your team rallied around that. Focus all efforts on loss elimination. That's why that zero was important. We can get lost in scorecards, we can get lost in making all of our measures very, very complex. But when you get an entire organization working on a loss every day, working on an improvement every day, working on a strategic goal, that compelling business need, it's very, very, very powerful. When you have that compelling need aligned with the business, everybody's on that one page. Start small, make sure that your pilots are successful, and quickly move on from there. Don't stall after you get that pilot going, and this is something that's we found is very, very successful for us. So picking your operation, bringing people in from all over the globe that they can learn together and move fast once you've made that success. IWS has a journey. We measure our success in a number of phases, but we pretty much start at the basis, getting an operation to run stable. So making sure people have the capability to maintain all of their equipment at base condition, make sure they've got the capability to be able to run their own preventive maintenance and get stable manufacturing results. We moved from that to create more flexibility to then more agility, and I'll show some of the measures that we would assess ourselves across these phases. We are working on the future. I'm sure many of you are. I referred to it earlier on. Automation's become much more affordable today than it has been in the past. We're seeing percentages of a piece of automation that would have cost $1 million a few years ago. We're now starting to source for $250,000. So that makes that opportunity to automate more affordable for us. We are pushing ourselves on lights out operations. So I'll show some measures that we expect in our sites today. But that's really when I think of the vision that I have for our sites is no unplanned stops, no breakdowns any day. We're not there yet, but we're seeing operations that are getting very, very close to that. The digital world is upon us now, and what does that mean for our sites? So we already will be rolling it out to all of our sites in the next 6 months, but we have our operations, or operators, technicians with iPads now that tells them what they need to center line, what they need to do on a daily basis. And we see this becoming more in the future as we think about production execution, we think about digital quality. Can we have our operations paperless? Can we have our sites and same operations digitally talking to each other live every day? And that's our vision. That's something that we want to work more on. Big data is becoming more prevalent. We still forecast today. I'm sure many operations around the globe do that. In my experience, we've never got a forecast right, which makes operations and planning very, very difficult task. Can we get real-time data? It's out there today. And as I mentioned, as the world changes, we see e-commerce becoming huge for us in the future. So I've got an operation in China that I was there 2 weeks ago. It's got two distinct businesses. One of them, 55% of that business goes direct to e-commerce, and the other one, it's 70%. So that's changed how we did. We don't make pallets of product anymore because our goal is that we can get direct to consumer. So that need for agility, that need for flexibility, that need to be able to change over rapidly has become huge for us. And then the other thing that we're really trying to push on now is customization and personalization, because consumers are thinking differently, The demands are there. A few years back, when Amazon could deliver something in 2 or 3 days, we thought that was great. If it's not being delivered in 2 or 3 hours now, people see it as a failure. So how does that change the needs for us in our manufacturing site? So a lot of work for us as we think about that 5-10 year time frame. But I think with the stability and the predictability we have in our operations today, we've set our stall out right. This is a bit of an eyesore, but we measure ourselves. We've a number of measures on as we move through the phases that I mentioned in our IWS journey. Most of the sites that I manage are in the phase 3, phase 4 time frame. So very much at a point where we're producing to demand. So we measure the amount of production that we produce daily. The expectation that we have today is that we've got about 70% of our production on a daily basis, which means we get our supply base very, very close to us, particularly our packaging, and then we've got that agility and changeover capability. If I think a couple of other key measures, on unplanned downtime or push today, most of our operations are running at less than 5%. So I mentioned the OEE numbers. Most of our downtime is planned maintenance or changeovers, or pushes can we get unattended. So that lights out operation. If we can bring automation to another level in the future, we really see operations where we can turn the light off, come back 2-3 hours later, do our task, and come back again. What does that mean for our operations? I show a video of Factory of the Future that has nobody in it, and I show it to our sites. It's scary in a sense, but people see, when they see the automation and they see the technology, the general impression is it's not that far away. Now, there'll always be work for our people, whether it's doing the changeover, doing those maintenance tasks, or working on that next generation of products or equipment. But that vision that we're creating of operations that are unattended, that their work is planned on a daily basis, is not too far away. And I'd probably throw the challenge down. That's something, if we want to be competitive in Ireland, that we really need to think about. And that's our push, not just, as I said earlier on, in our high-cost countries. That's our push right across the globe today. Because we don't see the competition within our company, within regions. We've got enough competition out there with Philips and Dollar Shave Club and every other startup company that's coming today. So you can see it's a progression. You can see we're attaining those phase 3 results. 75% of Procter & Gamble sites today are in phase 3 and phase 4, and we think we'll have 90 by the end of our fiscal, which is by the summer this year. Last couple of slides. So what have we learned on our journey? Leadership and direction is every day. And I think anybody to hear that's leading an operation, you can't take that day off. You're being watched every day as you go on the shop floor. People are watching to see what you're doing, and you set that bar every time you go out on the shop floor. When you lower that bar, when you pass by and you don't follow a standard, you've just created a lower standard. Everybody means everyone. So I started my job 4 or 5 years ago, and in the role that I'm in now, we did look at capability different across the globe. We said, yep, we can have a set of standards in what I would call our high-cost countries, and maybe lower standards across the globe. That's changed. We see capability now that we hadn't seen before. We're launching products in China when we traditionally would have just done it in Germany or the US. We're launching them in Mexico. We're launching them in Brazil because we've built that same capability. So that would be a real challenge that I would say to us manufacturing in Ireland, that it's not just that China is a low-cost country. The capability that we're building in China, we're building in India. We just started an operation in Vietnam, is exactly the same. The operation in Vietnam is our best startup ever, as an example. Loss is a gap to a perfect performance. So as you think about coaching on the floor or spending time with your people, it should be focused on a loss. You should spend time with your people understanding how they're doing. We're all people and we're into work. We spend a lot of time in work. It should be fun. But if you're going to be on the shop floor and you're spending that time every day and you're not focused on a loss, people will see through that also. Capabilities are solutions to loss. So that point about everyone is everybody, everybody's capable. We don't see any ceilings for people in an organization. And I'm probably the the best example of that. I didn't share it in my bio, but I started as a technician in a injection molding in Newbridge, and now I'm running 26 sites across the globe. So we see everybody's got the capability to learn, and everybody's got the capability to grow. Everything's connected, and standards mean everything. So that, whether it's standards on housekeeping, standards on safety, standards on how your equipment runs, standard on the culture that you want, you follow them every day, and you make them better as you get used to it. And it's a continuous improvement cycle that works, that people see all of the time. New initiatives are an improvement opportunity. So within our organization, within my history, when I see operations peak and then trough, a lot of that time has been initiatives. We're rushing them too fast into an organization. We haven't spent enough time developing the process or developing the equipment, and we're changing that now. So the push for us before was 85%, less than 10 stops a day. The future is lights out. So really challenging our organization. I met with the engineering team, shared that video of nobody in the operation of 95% efficiency, walk away from a piece of equipment, come back 4 hours later and do your maintenance tasks. Results can be immediate, they can be sustainable, and they can be remarkable if you really build a system and you build the right people in an organization to do it. I've shown the results there. We've proven this in every country on many technologies. I've heard of it in the past. This is too complex, our supply chain's too complex, you don't understand our equipment. And I'd argue, if you look at the amount of products that Procter & Gamble make, if you look at the motor industry or the car industry, there isn't a technology there that we can't make this happen on. There isn't a country and there isn't a set of people that we can't make this happen with. It's in your hands as a leader. And that's it for me. If there's any questions, thank you.